When you are saving a life, you don't care if the person in front of you is from the left or from the right. Your only priority is to survive and help others survive. A week ago, I posted a video sharing my experience surviving the hell we've been going through during the flooding in Valencia. That video got 16,000 views and over 500 comments from people all around the globe, sending their support to Valencia. And you know what? For a while, the Spanish people were united by the tragedy, and everyone demanded accountability from all the politicians. But the folks up there on the top, they didn't like it, because united people is dangerous. So the politicians and the media kicked their game full speed, and they nailed it in record time. In less than 24 hours, the right was blaming the left, and the left was blaming the right, and everyone jumped on board. Carlos Mazón needs to go. Sánchez must resign. And just like that, the destruction, the horror, and the death were forgotten. And the outcome, you already know it, because it's the same old political game everywhere in the world. Blame gets tossed around, no one takes responsibility, no one resigns, and then 10 or 15 years from now, once the crimes have been prescribed, the truth trickles out. Sound familiar, right? The politicians in your country pull the same tricks. In this video, I'll break down the blame on the right, on the left, and on every one of these bumbling, clueless politicians who are responsible for the 200+ deaths in Valencia. On October 29th, that is the day that the tragedy hit, AEMET, which is the Spanish meteorological agency, used a red alert. Now, a red alert is released when rainfall is expected to reach more than 120 millimeters within 12 hours. But in this case, the alert from AEMET warned of rainfall between 150 and 180 millimeters in just 12 hours. So yes, there was a warning, but it was nowhere near accurate. For instance, in one town called Chiva, the rainfall hit a mind-blowing 491 liters per square meter. How is it even possible for the forecast to be off by so much? Sure, weather isn't an exact science, we know that, but wait, from 180 to 491? That is a huge difference. And here's a related question. Why does the current alert system max out at 120 millimeters in 12 hours? Does that mean that 120 millimeters is red and 491 millimeters is also red? Is it the same? Shouldn't there be more levels? Our politicians are clueless. To top it off, AEMET reports that a critical radar system in Valencia was out of action since September 2023. It only became operational again in October 28, 2024, just before the worst of the storm. A radar might not predict the weather, but it collects the data to help forecasting models. Could that radar have made the forecast more accurate? And how the hell is a radar offline for more than a year? Don't we pay enough taxes? Later that day, October 29th, the CECOPI, which is the kind of the Integrated Operational Coordination Center, met at 5 p.m. They discussed options like alerting the public via mobile alarms or even locking people down for safety. But in the end, no action was taken. They met, they talked, and they left. And the result, of course, is 200+ deaths. And you know who wasn't at that meeting? Carlos Mazón, the president of the Valencian community. Why? Because he was out having lunch with a journalist offering her a job at the regional TV network. Naturally, that was way more important because, well, you know, control the media and you will control the people. Oh, and to make things worse, the head of emergency services, Salomé Pradas, didn't even know there was an alarm system that could be used. Like, what? You are the dumb head of emergency services and you don't even know how your own department works? Politicians are incompetent. The following morning, on October 30th, the National Congress held a minute of silence for the 70-some dead at that time. They cancelled a government accountability session where the government has to answer to the opposition. And they cancelled it out of respect for the dead. Nice. But you know what they didn't cancel that day? A vote on Spanish public television network. The one about who gets to control it and who the next top executives will be. So Carlos Mazón from the right ignored us because controlling regional TV was more important. And then Pedro Sánchez from the left ignored us because controlling national TV was more important than us. And wait, because if that was not enough to make your blood boil, listen to this. Some of the politicians who were voting in Congress about that national TV thing are from Valencia. Víctor Camino from the PSOE is from Valencia. Vicent Sarriá from the PSOE is from Valencia. Nahuel González from Sumar, that is the far left, is from Denia. And get this, Carmen Martínez from the PSOE, from the left, is from Quart de Poblet. Quart de Poblet is one of the flooded towns. Let's analyze this. While their friends and neighbors were shoveling mud from their wrecked homes and pulling the dead out of the streets, these disgraceful, rotten human beings were busy voting on TV control. Politicians are trash. First and foremost, Carlos Mazón is responsible. According to the National Civil Protection Law and the Civil Protection and Emergency Management Law, the autonomous community, la comunidad autónoma, has the jurisdiction during an emergency. In a catastrophe, there are 3 levels of emergency: level 1, level 2, and level 3. In the first 2 levels, the affected autonomous community handles the management. At level 3, the control passes to the central government. Carlos Mazón activated level 2 but never escalated to level 3, which would have handed over command of emergency services to the Interior Ministry. Let's stop here because this is huge. Because at level 3, the government could have deployed the military within 24 hours, saving huge, immense number of lives. You need to understand that in a catastrophe, in a disaster like a flood, it's not just about who is dead or who is alive. There are many people trapped in cars, in garages, in dangerous places that can be saved if the military arrives in time. Must remember that Spanish military is not offensive, is not designed for war, it's defensive. That means that they are specifically trained for this type of emergency. They take control of the situation, they organize, and they follow the protocols that save countless lives. But they weren't activated because Carlos Mazón didn't trigger the level 3 alert. But this doesn't let the central government off the hook. Civil protection law, and even more, the Spanish Constitution allow the government to step in during extreme cases like a catastrophe. In other words, Pedro Sánchez or Fernando Grande Marlaska, the Interior Minister, could have activated level 3 anytime without needing Carlos Mazón's approval. Plus, the Constitution and the Organic Law 4/1981 allow the government to declare a state of alarm in the face of a disaster. That's a second thing they could have done. So, if Pedro Sánchez and his government did nothing, it's because they didn't want to. Why didn't Carlos Mazón activate level 3? Why didn't Sánchez or the Interior Minister take control? Politicians are negligent. It's been 2 weeks now since the tragedy. For the first 4 days, all eyes were on the horror, the destruction, and the death. By the 5th day, the political game was in full swing. Blame started to fly back and forth, right against left, left against right. And here we are, with politicians still locked in their useless finger pointing, while their incompetence continues to show. You know, there are 2 major protests planned in Spain. November 9th, a demonstration calling for the resignation of Carlos Mazón, president of the Valencian government, which is the right wing. And November 15th, a demonstration demanding the resignation of Pedro Sánchez, president of Spain, from the left. Tell me, isn't that absurd? Even more, just look at the rotten society we live in. During the November 9th protest, which demanded accountability from the right, there was a woman who confronted a protester holding a sign that said, Sánchez y Mazón la misma mierda son. Sánchez, something like Sánchez and Mazón are the same crap. Shit. Her argument was that the demonstration was only to demand accountability from Carlos Mazón. Do you know who do not care about blaming one or the other? All the people who died, all the people who lost their houses, all the people who right now, in this very moment, are still getting rid of the mud and the destruction on their streets. The truth is that Carlos Mazón, Pedro Sánchez, Fernando Grande Marlaska, Teresa Rivera, Salomé Pradas, and all the members of the current political system are incompetent, despicable, and disgraceful human beings. And where is the demonstration against all those? Where is the demonstration against an entire class of politicians who have abandoned us and are only interested in power and money? Pedro Sánchez has announced over 14 billion euros in aid for those affected. That seems to be nice, but here's what they don't tell you. 5 billion of that, that's almost a third part, is just state-backed guarantees via the ICO, Instituto de Crédito Oficial. Translation, that means that that's not actual cash, that's not actual money. That money will come from the banks, and of course they will charge interest on it. But then another 3.5 billion is going to come from the Insurance Compensation Consortium, which is basically funded by the insurance premiums that we, the citizens, pay. So what does that mean? That means that the aid for Valencians is coming out of Valencian pockets. The Spanish people will end up paying for the aid meant for the Spanish people. Can someone explain to me, please, what the hell we need these politicians for? Of course, we've been talking about Carlos Mazón, Pedro Sánchez, the Interior Minister. We've been talking about all the shitty politicians, never mind what color they are. But the incompetence and rot run much faster, deeper than that. Teresa Rivera is the third Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Ecological Transition. She is in charge of the Júcar Hydrographic Confederation, which I'm not going to explain what it is, but you just need to know that is also in a blame game over who is responsible here or not. But also she is in charge of a plan created on the year 2000 called, the translation would be something like the Global Flood Prevention Plan for the Júcar River. And this plan was made to build 3 dams that would prevent flooding like the one that we just lifted. That is the dam of Estubeny, the one of Marquesado, and the one of Montesa. The first 2 has been deleted from the government's project, but the third one is still technically on the books under the Ministry of Ecological Transition. And the entire plan is paralyzed, with no explanation given. So maybe Teresa Rivera is not a direct responsible of this, but she's got a lot of things to tell at least, right? She has not said one single word for the last 2 weeks. Whereas she has been the whole week. She has been busy studying to pass an exam that would allow her to work at the European Union, which is apparently way more important than dealing with this catastrophe. In other words, if we had another flooding disaster right now, you know what? The same damn thing would happen again, all over again. From all this, one thing is painfully clear. The blame lies with the entire political system, rotting from top to bottom. The real issue here is the gap between politicians and the people. And let's be honest, that gap has always been there since ancient Rome 2000 years ago. But at least in the past, politicians had the decency to pretend to care. There's a famous saying about Caesar's wife. Something like, Caesar's wife must not be honest, but she must appear so. At the end of the day, it's not about left or right. The real issue here is systemic. And we as citizens, we are left wondering, what's it going to take for this to change? We have a political system, not just in Spain, but around the world, where politicians are incompetent, corrupt, and completely unqualified. And hear me out, because this is the main point that I wanted to make in this video. This has nothing to do with Valencia. This affects you. In the comments on my previous video, people from all over the world shared their own stories of government abandonment. Like in 2021, floods in Ahrtal, Germany, where the German government blocked all international aid. Or the cyclone Gabriel in New Zealand, where authorities didn't alert people in time and offered no help. Just like in Valencia, the volunteers ended up doing the real work. Or the fires in Lahaina, Hawaii, where officials failed to warn people about the fire and even prevented them from escaping to safe areas. And you know what's missing in all these comments? Any mention of whether their leaders, their governments, were left-wing or right-wing, liberal or conservative, Republicans or Democrats. Because here's the point, when you are in a crisis, when you're in a catastrophe, when your life depends on just a tiny thread, when you've lost your home, when you've lost your entire life, or worse, when you've lost a loved one, you don't care about the color of the leader's party. You want protection, you want help, you want empathy. Millions of people from all around the globe is waking up, seeing that this political system is a complete sham. We have to understand that those politicians that we vote for every 4 years are not experts in economics, education, healthcare, justice, defense, or science. They are simply politicians. Their expertise lies in campaigning, manipulating, public speaking, and controlling the public. It's time to push for a system led by experts, not traditional politicians, where decisions are made in collaboration with specialists from different fields and ideologies. Let the Minister of Economy be an economist. Let the Minister of Health be a doctor. Let the Minister of Justice be a judge. And don't even let them make unilateral decisions. Require each minister to have a council of top experts from all political colors and ideologies, debating, thinking the best course of action. Imagine the Minister of Economy being an economist and having a council of the 40 brightest economists from every school of thought. Capitalist, socialist, green economists, neoliberals, everything. They all debating and working together to create policies for the good of all citizens. If this resonates with you, I want you to join me. I am creating a movement called the Valencian Revolution. And it's for everyone who has watched their community fall apart while leaders stood back. This is a call to every person who has been failed by the system. This isn't just about a flood or a fire. It's about the people left behind every day, in every place, while the powerful look back, look the other way. What happened in Valencia should be a turning point, a moment for the people to say enough is enough. to these incompetent, rotten, and corrupt politicians. Go to valencianrevolution.com. You can read a lot of information there and use the hashtag #ValencianRevolution. Tell your friends, tell people, make people aware of what we are living, what the world is living, and the change we are demanding. We are neither from the left or the right. We are the ones below, and we're coming for those above.